to kind of discuss a couple things going on with the studio, the industry in general. I typically don't do these candid types of conversations, things like that, but I felt with some of the things going on, especially with Diamond, wanted to give a quick little talk about that as far as how is that relative to even the books I publish. I'm not with Diamond, as many of you know. A lot of my sales and how I distribute books is basically through conventions, as many of us indie creators are. I will say that, I've had experiences with Diamond. They weren't good. To me, this bankruptcy, really is just a sign of the times. It's one of those things like if you run your business the way that they kind of have done, it's expected. I don't know if it's really about sales or really, my experience, I can talk a little bit about that is, maybe 10, 12 years ago, I was working on a few indie books, and those books were completed series. They started out as mini series. They were going to be potentially ongoing series with a writer. The way that ended up working out is we would submit those to Diamond, is probably a lot of you have. They came back and said, hey, the market's oversaturated. This isn't going to sell. And they did a lot of gatekeeping. And this was 3 titles, I do believe, that got submitted. Now, these weren't my creations. They were the writer's creations, and I was doing colors and lettering and helping out build stories and stuff like that. The art was phenomenal. Some of you may have bought these books years ago. I still like the stories. I think the art was very solid, even in today's standard of comics. My experience with Diamond was they really flat out rejected us. There was a lot of gatekeeping. I heard that from a lot of indie creators. So to me, it's one of those things that it was just a matter of time before Diamond really decided to go this route and file for bankruptcy. Now, that being said, all that kind of negative nonsense out of the way, I will say that for Dark Space Studios, for what I publish, I am in talks with a distribution company. He's very early into this distribution. I'm not going to really reveal too much about that right now, as for me specifically, I think it was the right time for me to approach someone for distribution, as I'm wrapped up Annabelle and Ice Pick is wrapped up. I am currently working on Luke, and I've had artists in place here for the last couple weeks. He's turned in his cover. We have 3-4 pages going on the first issue, and it's going to be 6 weeks or so before we really start rolling, 8 weeks before we really start getting into Luke issue 1. Luke is going to be part 3 of the trilogy for Dark Space Studios' initial character universe. It's going to be a fun book. It's going to be a horror book. Visually, it's going to be kind of gory, a little gruesome, but again, still in line with what Dark Space Studio does and what the characters of Ice Pick, Annabelle, and Luke are. So that being said, I'm hoping by the end of the year we can really work out a distribution for Dark Space Studios books, and I'm looking forward to that. What will be kind of cool with this whole thing is there will be a whole new set of covers for, I would say potential new covers for all the retailers. One of the things with this new distribution that I'm in talks with is there's kind of like this whole non-compete thing, which I'm 100% on board with. I think that, Marvel, DC, Image, it can kind of get away with it. But for us indie creators, if we want to distribute our books out to thousands, potentially thousands of stores and potential thousands of copies of a book being out there, it's important for us to make those retailers feel wanted, feel important, feel that we're not trying to compete with them with sales. Like, if you want my books, go to your local retailer, ask for our books. The company / person that's going to be doing distribution, he's very clear on, here are the things if you want to work with me and have your books distributed. It's going to be, like a monthly newsletter, very similar to what Diamond does with their books, putting out like, hey, here's all the indie books that I distribute, and it'll be up for me to really handle a lot of the back end of the stuff as far as getting all the books made, getting them out, getting them to him to distribute. So it's really nice because it empowers me a little bit. It puts me in charge of what I'm doing with the studio, but it also allows me to get books into your hands. Be on the lookout for that. I can, as far as updates on Dark Space Studios, we are still going as of today, Thursday, January, what is today? The 16th, I do believe. We are still rocking and rolling on Annabelle issue 4 trade paperback. We just got funded. I just released the stretch goals as well. As far as updates go with Dark Space Studios, I am looking to continue telling stories as long as I can, and Luke is going to be the next story in line. I also have another story planned after Luke is finished, so that probably won't see the light of day until sometime next year. I also have a little short story that I'm going to include some preview pages of Ice Pick and some preview pages of Annabelle into a Ice Pick. It's called Ghost Story, and that is going to be released here to Kickstarter within the next couple months. Working on getting that wrapped up and finished. I'm going to be penciling that myself, and so anybody out there that's fans of my art, you're going to see a lot more of it in this new book that I'm going to be doing, new Ice Pick story. And that story is really going to take place between Annabelle issue 4 and Luke issue 1. It's not required reading, but it does definitely tells a lot more character development from what Ice Pick has done and Annabelle has done. So for all the fans out there, stay tuned. 2025 looks to be a fun and exciting year for Dark Space Studios. We are looking to release a few more issues. Definitely, we got Luke on the plate and wrapping up Annabelle, and we're looking to hopefully to get distribution going by the end of the year. And if not, maybe we start it in 2026, but we just have to see what's right for me, the company, and the books that I publish. Everybody out there, take care, and I will see you on the next video.